An explosive revelation about the agreement between Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari for 2027 could completely transform the Italian team's landscape, putting the seven-time world champion in a position of absolute control that would leave the traditional Maranello team with no alternatives. Can you imagine how the British driver could have executed the most astute maneuver of his professional career, turning Ferrari into a hostage to its own choices? The recent leak about the clauses of the Englishman's contract promises to revolutionize the fate of the most iconic brand in world motorsport. Lewis Hamilton's decision to leave Mercedes for Ferrari at the start of this season caused a real earthquake in the world of Formula One. It was only the second team change in the English driver's brilliant career, the first since he left McLaren for Mercedes in 2012. At the time, both Hamilton and Ferrari adopted a cautious stance, choosing not to disclose the precise duration of the agreement, describing it simply as a multi-year contract. What remained hidden was that this reserve could be masking one of the most controversial provisions in the contemporary era of the sport. The information circulating in Italian corridors is truly shocking. According to the renowned publication La Gazzetta dello Sport, Hamilton negotiated a contractual provision that gives him complete authority to determine his stay at Ferrari until the end of 2027, regardless of his performance or the wishes of the organization. Just as you heard, the seven-time champion's fate would be exclusively in his hands, making Ferrari little more than a passive spectator in this fundamental decision. But what is the reason for all this controversy? The explanation is straightforward. Traditionally, Formula One agreements give organizations at least some influence over renewal decisions, especially when results fall short of projections. Hamilton, however, appears to have completely reversed this dynamic to his advantage, and considering his current season, this provision takes on even more intense dimensions. The truth is that Hamilton's transfer to Ferrari has not lived up to the golden dream that many anticipated. In the 14 races held so far, the Englishman has not managed to reach the podium even once, with his only achievement being the sprint in China. At the same time, his teammate Charles Leclerc has accumulated 42 points more than him in the championship, putting Hamilton in an uncomfortable position and under increasing pressure from fans and the Italian media. The most revealing episode of this turmoil took place during the Hungarian Grand Prix, where Hamilton failed to secure a place in the top 10 on the grid, finishing only 12th, while Leclerc took pole position using exactly the same equipment. The Briton's words after the qualifying session were devastating. He described himself as useless several times and even hinted that Ferrari should consider replacing him. 24 hours later, during a press conference, Hamilton confirmed that his feelings remained unchanged and let slip a statement that sent a chill down the spine of all tifosi. There are many situations going on behind the scenes that are not working properly. This was not the first time Hamilton had publicly expressed his dissatisfaction. After the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in April, he confessed that his managers were not satisfied with his performances, further intensifying the pressure on him. And here lies the key point. If the information about the contractual arrangement is accurate, Hamilton may be facing this pressure knowing that he has a trump card that Ferrari cannot take away from him. However, Hamilton is not someone who gives up easily. Even in the face of adversity, he has been working hard to turn the situation around. The seven-time champion confessed to having held a series of meetings with Ferrari's senior management in Maranello, presenting documents containing suggestions for changes to both the vehicle and the team's organization. His methodology has been one of comprehensive questioning, confronting every department, every individual in a position of authority, every procedure that could be blocking the team's success. The motivation behind this additional dedication has deeply personal roots. Hamilton has clearly expressed his refusal to follow in the footsteps of icons such as Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, and Kimi Räikkönen, all world champions who passed through Ferrari without winning a championship for the traditional Italian team. This categorical refusal to accept failure may be precisely what underpins such an advantageous contractual arrangement for him. The question that remains is, why would Ferrari agree to such an apparently unbalanced deal? The explanation may lie in the pressure the organization was under to sign Hamilton, and the understanding that substantial concessions would be necessary to lure the seven-time champion away from Mercedes. After all, we are talking about the most successful driver in history alongside Michael Schumacher, someone with 7 world championships and a proven ability to take organizations to a new level. But there is another essential component to this formula. Hamilton, at 40, is clearly in the final stages of his professional career. If the willingness really exists and gives him the power to decide on 2027, it could also be a means of putting pressure on Ferrari to speed up the necessary improvements. It is a clever way for the Briton to communicate, "Give me the conditions to succeed, or I will determine my own destiny." The timing of this revelation is also strategic and intriguing. With 10 races still to go in the season and Hamilton going through the most difficult period of his time at Ferrari, this willingness may be acting as a kind of psychological protection. Knowing that he has complete control over his future may give Hamilton the peace of mind he needs to focus exclusively on improving his performance without worrying about outside pressures. The reality is that this whole situation reflects a fundamental shift in the balance of power in contemporary Formula One. Top drivers like Hamilton are no longer just employees of organizations. They are global brands, strategic assets that can dictate contractual terms that would have seemed impossible a few decades ago. And Hamilton, with his unmatched experience and prestige, may have simply played this game better than anyone else. There is also a chance that Hamilton will opt for retirement at the end of 2026 if he feels he can no longer compete at the highest level. At 42 years of age, it would be an understandable and honorable choice. But having this option entirely under his control, without depending on Ferrari's will, completely alters the power dynamics between driver and organization. Ferrari, on the other hand, finds itself in an extremely sensitive and unprecedented situation. It needs to find ways to get the best out of Hamilton, knowing that it may not have control over how long he stays with the team. It is a sophisticated chess game where the usual rules of the Formula One market seem to have no application. Ultimately, this revelation about Hamilton's agreement could represent a watershed moment in the relationship between drivers and organizations in Formula One. If confirmed, it demonstrates how an experienced and strategic driver can use his bargaining power to secure absolute control over his career, even at a traditionally influential organization like Ferrari. What is your opinion on Hamilton's move? Is it brilliant or detrimental to the sport? One thing is certain. The coming months will be decisive in understanding whether this contractual strategy will result in the success that both Hamilton and Ferrari crave, or whether it will create even more tension in an already complicated relationship. Share your opinion in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow all the updates from the most intense behind the scenes of Formula One.